Okay, peeps, we are going to work with some Google Sheets things today, kind of modifying different things, some modifications on just formatting, just different formatting type stuff in your Google Sheets. First thing you're going to do whenever we open a new file is to rename it. You know that. And I always recommend that you go into your drive, go to your GMS folder, and then whatever grade you're in, seventh grade if you are, and then whatever class it is, if it's Digicom, whatever it is, go into that folder. And then I check my path that I'm in my drive in the GMS, seventh grade Digicom. And then here I can go new and create a Google Sheet here so that it lives in this folder so I can always find it later on. And then you rename it, of course, last name, first initial, and I call this practice spreadsheet, just something I'm going to practice with. Some things we're going to look at is changing things to formatting. To start with, on Google Sheets, the columns are designated by letters, and they go up and down just like a column in a building, vertical. And then the rows are like rows in a movie theater or a classroom. They're designated by numbers, and they go across a row. When we talk about a cell, it's all designated by the column and the row that it intersects. So this one is D7. So that's that cell, D7. So we know that whenever we talk about cells, it's kind of like playing the old battleship game, G3. Bam, you hit my battleship, whatever it is. So that's the cells whenever we do that. And that's important because when we put formulas in, it all corresponds to cells. And we'll get into formulas later on. But today we're just going to be looking at some basic formatting stuff. So when I type something in a cell, type in some text, I have to hit enter to lock in that text. I put in any text here, then that isn't in that cell yet because my cursor is still blinking. You can see it's blinking, and it's not locked in there until I hit enter, until I select another cell. Once I do that, then that text is locked in. A lot of times people will put stuff in there and then they'll go on and do something else, and that spreadsheet doesn't actually have that information locked in there, and it can mess things up down the road. So sometimes I have more text in a cell, and I can see that it overlaps the cell a little bit. And that's okay until I have another thing in another cell next to it. And then I can see that it overlapped, that it blocked it out. That's called overtyping. So there's a couple things I can do to be able to see all of the text. When I click on a cell, I can go up in the top here in the bar, and it shows me what's in that cell. Well, I can clearly see that it's blocked off the rest of it. I don't see the rest of this text on here because it's overtyped. So I can change this. I can go into the format pull down, and I can go down to text wrapping. Right now it's on overflow, meaning it's going to overflow into the cell next to it. I can change that to wrap text, and then that breaks the text between between words that it thinks is appropriate, and it allows you to see everything that's in that cell now. The drawback there is it makes a taller cell or a taller row. So then all the rest of that text in that row, everything that those boxes are going to be tall. So when I put small things, one word in the text cell or in a cell there, it has a lot of blank space. So that's a drawback sometimes. So I can leave that back on text wrapping to overflow. And I can do another thing. I can take this column and make it wider so that I can see that. So if I go up top here, and when I move my cursor until it changes to a double arrow, notice it's a single arrow for selecting columns, selecting cells. And then when I get up top and I move it to between the two cells, the two columns, it changes to a double arrow. Now, if I click that and I drag it, then I can make that a wider column. So now I can see all of the text. That's good, see all the text, but again, it changes the whole column. So then on some of my cells, I'm going to have a lot of blank space if I have words in there. So it goes back to the lesser of two evils. Do I want wider columns? Do I want taller cells? Does it matter? What's my end plan on this whole spreadsheet? What do I want it to look like? So that's one option I can do. I can do different things too with the formatting. If I want to highlight things on certain cells, I can put borders around them. there's a border here that I can go and I can choose different types of borders. So this just puts a border around the outside of the whole thing. If I select multiple cells, click and drag, and I select multiple cells, I can put a border around the whole thing, and that puts a box around all of those cells. If I want to just make certain cells, let's say I check, let's select 9 cells there, and then I can go and do my borders again. And I'm going to select just the inside borders here. So it made inside borders. Now I can select 3 columns here, and I can change the width by moving my cursor to a double arrow, and I can move it down. Whoops, I moved. That was a move. If it's a hand, that means I'm going to move everything. If I go to the lines, now I've got the lines, and now I can click. Hi, I missed it again. So I'm going to try it one more time. Click and drag. There we go. Click and drag. And now I've made those columns narrow. So I made a little tic-tac-toe grid. So I can play some X's and O's and see if somebody wins the game. See who's pretty good at this. And looks like the O's have it. Bam, look at that. So play tic-tac-toe, you make it good there. You can play Battleship. We can make a Battleship thing and put chips in and kind of play a game there. Maybe we'll do that stuff we'll do down the road. Other things I can do, I can highlight. So like say I have a cell here and I want to fill it in. I want to make it like a header type thing. I can take that. I've typed that there. I'm going to move it up top here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to change that so that it is a highlighted cell. So I change the under the paint bucket. I can change the color. So now the whole thing's green. I can also take my text that it's in a cell and I can change the color of the text. Maybe I make it kind of a bright red. And if that's not very strong, I can, of course, just like I do in my Word documents, things, I can make it bold. I can change the size of it so that it's bigger. I can change the font of it if I want to have something fancy. So a lot of options we can change there. So we've got column widths and column heights. I can change the column height itself, the row height itself. But when I'm doing that, pay attention to this here. If I grab a bar and I move that bar, that's adjusting the bottom of the row. And the reason I tell you that is because sometimes people say, "Oh, I want to make this one, I want to make this row 12 shorter." So they grab the top and they say, okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it shorter. So that's pretty short. But really what I did is I grabbed the bottom of 11. So when you're grabbing the rows, the bars, and adjusting them, you're grabbing the bottom of them. And sometimes people will take that and they'll grab the other way. And now you can see that, okay, I went from 8 to 10. So my number 9 is so small, now I can't change it. I've lost it. So I've got to undo that. So I can go under the edit, pull down, undo is Control Z, redo is Control Y. So do my edit, undo, and now I got my nine column back, or 9 row back, sorry. So practice, play with these things, adjust the column width, adjust the row height, change your font, add some colors, put some borders on there. Do your text wrapping, practice doing those things on a spreadsheet just to get used to doing them, because we're going to use a spreadsheet for our data collection on several different things throughout the year here, throughout the semester. So that's it for now. Practice those stuff. Email with any questions as always. We'll talk at you later.